June 1990 kicked off the Summer of Love for Nancy Drew. It takes place at Aunt Eloise's New York beach house. Have we been told what Aunt Eloise does for a living? Because she must be super rich if she can afford a second home in the Hamptons.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
Aunt Eloise is sponsoring Sasha Petrov, a dancer from the Soviet Union. He arrives at the airport with his dance partner Marina and their chaperone, a strict military man named Dmitry Kolchak. Sasha holds onto Nancy's hand extra long and says flirty things to her. Summer of love. George's summer boyfriend is Gary Powell, a test pilot for Jetstream. Gary almost crashes a plane on the ground and everyone panics. Sasha uses the situation as an excuse to hold on to Nancy's arm, and then he tells her that he wants to fall in love. Not the right moment for romance, Sasha. At a party, Sasha corners Nancy. He's enthusiastic when he hears she's a detective. He loves mysteries. He moves in to kiss her when Dmitri interrupts. Bess also finds summer love with Yves Goulart, the handsome French accompanist who's 10 years older than her. 10 years older than her? Ew, gross. Why is she dating him? Gary is fired unexpectedly when Jetstream finds stolen blueprints in his locker. He claims that he's been framed, and George begs Nancy to prove his innocence. And Eloise's friend, Eileen Martin, is a senior engineer at Jetstream, so she lets Nancy inside the building and promises to help if she can. Nancy quickly zeroes in on grumpy Bill Farragate, the project's lead designer. He says the company deserves to get robbed because they turned down his request for a raise again. Eves gets mad at Bess when she accidentally messes up his sheet music. Sasha tries to get Nancy alone with him on the beach, and she finally tells him to stop flirting with her. She has a boyfriend. He agrees to stop bothering her. Then he wraps his towel around her neck, pulls her in close, and promises he won't hold back forever. The summer of love is looking more like the summer of sexual harassment. Later that day, they go to a dance club, and Nancy is jealous when Sasha doesn't ask her to dance with him. Nancy, you asked him to back off, and now you're mad that he backed off? He's doing exactly what you told him to do. Don't get angry about it. The culprit leaves a threatening message on Nancy's car, which is written in bad English, so presumably the culprit is a foreigner. Nancy decides to investigate Dmitri. She sees him talk with Bill in a coffee shop, and he hides a mystery paper in his pocket. Nancy asks Bess for a distraction so she can get the paper. Instead of sending him away to get a soda or something, Bess starts screaming that there's a shark in the water and they're all gonna die. Trust Bess to pick the most dramatic distraction possible. It turns out that Dimitri's paper is a program for the dance show, so he's probably innocent. Nancy openly stares at Sasha during dance rehearsal. It's so bad, Bess calls her out on being infatuated. Nancy worries how attracted she is to Sasha when Ned calls. He apologizes, but he can't show up until book 50. Sorry, Nancy, I'm too busy milking the drama cow for all it's worth. George and Gary get a copy of the guard schedule so they can break in the jet stream at night. They see that Bill is working extremely late, and Bill has cleared out his entire office for unknown reasons. They steal the airplane blueprints and make copies of them. To be honest, I didn't understand the reasoning behind this escapade. Gary has been framed for stealing blueprints, so why does he help Nancy steal the blueprints? Congratulations, Gary! You just committed the crime you were framed for! They're lucky security didn't catch them here, because they all would have been sent to jail with just cause. When they get back home, Nancy explains the blueprints might have a clue that points to the culprit's identity. They might have a clue? Maybe you should be certain the blueprints have a clue before committing multiple crimes to get them. The entire escapade ends up being a failure because none of them can read airplane blueprints. Womp womp womp. Nancy overhears Sasha, Dmitri, and Mariana arguing in Russian. Sasha says the word jetstream in English, and the next day, he disappears. Nancy suspects he disappeared because he's the culprit, and her poor little heart is broken. Nancy accidentally bumps into Eve's piano. His music sheets fall to the ground, and it turns out the stolen blueprints are inside. I have no idea why he keeps them in a semi-public place, instead of keeping them on his person or in a locked briefcase or something. Eves is not a smart criminal. Nancy and friends break into Eve's house, where she finds Sasha tied up. He explains he overheard Eves making a guilty phone call. Sasha wanted to play detective, so he confronted Eves, and Eves kidnapped him. Nancy criticizes Sasha for being foolish, like she hasn't been kidnapped a dozen times before. Nancy and friends make a trap for Eves. It's less exciting than it sounds. Basically, they keep him busy at rehearsal all day, so the police can catch him red-handed, passing blueprints to his co-culprit. The co-culprit is Eileen. Sasha talks to Nancy. He loves her more than ever now that she saved his life. He says he doesn't want to avoid her anymore, and he asks if she still wants him to stay away because of Ned. When Nancy says nothing in response, Sasha kisses her, and everything feels wonderful. The end. Post-book follow-up. This book kicks off a cover redesign for the series. They move the book title and number from the top of the cover into a box at the bottom. I think they had to do this to make room for the Summer of Love logo. They keep this cover layout until book 99. I did not like the romance in this book. You probably picked up on that. Sasha flirts with Nancy all the time, and she's overly slow to tell him to stop. I counted. There are at least 5 places where Nancy wants to tell him to leave her alone, but she doesn't. And then when he finally does stop flirting with her, she gets sad about it. So much inconsistency. And the ending, where he gives her one final chance to be faithful to Ned. Nancy throws it away because she'd rather kiss hot Russian guys. Nancy is a horrible girlfriend, and Sasha is borderline creepy for harassing Nancy all the time. So yes, bad romance in the Summer of Love. I think the problem is that the author wants Nancy to cheat on Ned without it being Nancy's fault. So they make Nancy overly passive, which is totally out of character for her, and they pair her with an overly aggressive male. It just doesn't work. I also did not like the breaking into Jetstream subplot. It was exciting, yes, but the reasoning behind it was weak to non-existent. I feel like Nancy's just breaking into places because she likes it at this point. The subplot with the local news reporter went nowhere, too. I know I'm making it sound like I hate this book, but I don't. It was well written, and it does a good job of balancing a large number of characters. I especially liked how Nancy and her friends did everything as a group. But I don't like the romance drama, and that is a huge failure because romance is the main selling point of the Summer of Love. I give Nancy Drew Files number 48, A Date with Deception, a 6 out of 10.